holiday message, a message about the holiday. We're come just very close, together with the holidays now. Thanksgiving, Christmas, Hanukkah, the New Year coming up, and we always ask ourselves, what are these holidays for, right? What are we celebrating with our family members? What are we celebrating? Is it really the food? Is the gift and all these things when we come together in these holidays? Is it a day just for us to relax? Is it a day for us to remember something? That's what we're here today. We're trying to bring a different perspective. Not that we're trying to change anything, make any change to anybody's ways to party or to view these holidays, but mainly to bring a Spiritist perspective. Some ideas that will help us to enjoy more and not to feel nostalgic, right, after the holidays, because sometimes we feel tired and all because we do so much, we worry about so much, to make this lighter. As Spiritism brings us an invitation to live a lighter, a much happier life.
Sure.
So we're right on the edge of these holidays coming up of the year 2013, and we're here again with this beautiful invitation, starting with Thanksgiving. Right, we come together as a family. We know that Thanksgiving is not something that is broadly around the world celebrated, but here in the U.S. we see this holidays taken very seriously. It's actually one of the holidays that people travel the most, right?
Right, yes.
And what is the behind the story about Thanksgiving? What is it behind? Is it just somebody just told us, go eat the turkey? No, there is a reason behind, right? And we, through history, we see that there is more to it, that if we take, even though we may not be from this culture, perhaps born and raised in different countries, we embrace it. Because we see how important it is for this nation, right? For our kids and all.
Yeah. It's so interesting, Leo, because we look at history, and sometimes when we look at the history behind Thanksgiving, some historians might even say that how we celebrate Thanksgiving today wasn't quite how things were at that time. But what's also interesting is that it doesn't matter. It's the beauty of the law of progress, of humanity moving forward. We took something that perhaps initially had a higher power or God overseeing it, because man must progress, Americans finding a new land and commingling with, the natives of that particular town. But what's interesting is that nowadays we celebrate as a way to give thanks. We celebrate with our family, which is important because it's for us gratitude, for us to exercise that in our day-to-day life. We know that there's already research by Dr. Robert Emmons, gratitude research. You can Google all about it. It's really interesting. So we know that this practice of gratitude is actually really important for our day-to-day lives. If we only have one day a year where we show gratitude, we guess it's better than nothing at all. But the idea is for us to practice it every day. That's what the research tells us, that even if we practice a little bit every day, by whatever way, whether it's a gratitude journal or otherwise, it's good for us. But there's, we're coming up to other holidays as well. And again, we have to reiterate, I'm not here to tell anyone how to live. We're just bringing the historical parts, or some of it, the overview, and the spiritual aspects. So we're really here to better ourselves, to practice goodness. So these holidays and some of the traditions are not bad. They're ways for us to practice. So after Thanksgiving, depending upon what religious background you come from, you might be celebrating various different religious ceremonies or different holidays. But for Christians, we're celebrating Christmas. If you're Jewish, it's Hanukkah, so forth and so on. But even Christmas has such a rich history. And it's interesting, Leo, because sometimes we partake in holidays, we partake in traditions that we have no idea. Even, Leo, you're Brazilian. I was fascinated. Pardon me for speaking of myself, but I was fascinated when I had read about the history of Carnival in Brazil. And this is not something that people go around talking about, but when you read the actual history of Carnival, it's kind of strange in a sense of where it derives from. But not wanting to judge anything, it has its purpose, I'm sure, in the law of progress. But anyway, there's always a history behind everything, the whys behind. So Christmas, we know, has many historical features. We know that even in it was something that we think that was actually goes back to Jesus' time, but we know that the trouble that there was back then to find out when was truly Jesus born, and there's really hard or if any historical facts that tells us when he was born. Actually born.
That doesn't matter. I think, going back to your point, that if that one day of the year we're really engaging in the remembrance of what? The birth of Jesus,
Right.
then it's, let us practice that day and perhaps multiply that throughout the year as well. But, this idea of Christmas, the Christmas tree and all these things, it's something very recent if we can just go ahead and analyze it,
Sure,
right?
sure. We probably say sometime after the 1920s, when the Industrial Revolution was going on. Many people don't even realize that. Even if we were to, rewind history a little bit more, we learned that in 1644, Massachusetts, here in the U.S., it's a state, actually used to have a law that if you celebrated Christmas, you were fined. And it has something to do with the Puritans and people of the culture. So Christmas was not always, Santa Claus and Christmas trees and presents. It actually has evolved into that for many different aspects because of culture, because of the Industrial Revolution, and because people seeing things on TV. So it really wasn't always this way. We have adapted it.
The idea of giving gift, it's a nice idea because we go
Right.
back to Jesus' time as well. The kings bringing the
Right.
gifts. It's nice to reward
To
somebody,
honor.
to give
Sure.
or to give something to someone. Again, we see a lot of people mobilized now at the end of the year as well to give to the poor, to give to the needy ones, to exchange gifts. It's a nice act. So I think it emphasizes also what we're doing. It's not wrong. It's right. The thing is, how much are we give emphasis to it, and what kind of emphasis we're putting to it?
That's so interesting, Leo. And nowadays, it's so common for us to see schools put on plays, churches put on plays, and there's a really funny, interesting, but heartwarming mini story we're going to tell real quick. And it has to do with this congregation, this church had put on this, I believe it was actually in New York. I actually heard Whoopi Goldberg. You can probably Google this and go to YouTube and find this particular story. But she told the story, there was a famous location in New York where they have this annual pageant. It's overseen by a pastor. It has some Christian aspects to it, obviously, because it's Christmas. But long story short, it has to do with these kids from all different areas in New York who really practiced to be a part of this pageant. This one particular year, a boy who had Down syndrome, he actually, it's beautiful, his community, his parents, his friends really wanted him to get this part. And in fact, he did. He got the part of the innkeeper, which, at least in the story that's told, the innkeeper is the one who tells Jesus and Mary, well, there's no room here. And Mary and Joseph, rather, they go to the barn and they give birth. We all know the story. But what's interesting is that during the play, when it's going on, when it comes to the point where the boy who has Down syndrome, let's just call him Mark, when Mark is supposed to say that one line, everybody's very tense in the audience. They're like, he only has to say, sorry, there's no room, you can't stay here. Everybody's tense and holding their breath. And when Joseph and Mary, the two actors, come up, and he says, you can't stay here, there's no room. And so then Joseph and Mary, the two actors, they begin to walk away. But then all of a sudden he says, but wait! You could stay at my house. And it's so heartwarming because the audience of hundreds of people just, we're like, oh my gosh, that's not in the script. And then the pastor stands up and says, amen. So we reflected about that story because that is the heart of Christmas. We want to invite Jesus into our home. That's what we want, in whatever way, whatever tradition, right?
And it's interesting that you're saying this, that we want to invite Jesus at our home.
Yes.
Are we really looking for Jesus, or are we looking for the teachings that Jesus have brought to us, have taught us, by saying, as you clothe someone who is in need, you clothe me. You're helping me.
Right.
If you're feeding someone who is hungry, paraphrasing now,
right.
you're feeding me. So that is the idea. It's not looking for this master to come to our house, but those who are in need. There are several messages that we can read within Spiritism, several teachings that we get from May, from Emmanuel, and many, many books that taught us the same thing, reminds us about the same thing. It's about the tree. It's nice to have. It's nice to have that gathering with the family. But beyond the family, there are people outside that may not have. They may not have the food. They may not even have family members. So it's nice to perhaps invite someone to your home. Find out if your neighbor, right next door neighbor, say, do you need something? Do you have someone? You would like to spend with us, if obviously the condition, the environment allows. So all of these things, that's the invitation. That's the idea that we want to remind one another today with this video, with this message as well. we know we would like to close with a message from a beautiful book, but also it's important for us to remember as well the idea of New Year. The New Year, it's a new cycle, something new starting. It's a reminder for all of us to say, okay, with this new day, with this new year, I am capable to do something to make a difference, right? To make this new, to take part on this new beginning. So I think that's also awakening for us that perhaps let us treat every single day as January the 1st, since we follow this beautiful calendar, right? The Gregorian calendar. And let us make that January 1st the best day of our lives, the 2nd, the 3rd, so on and so forth, until we get to, again, repeat everything again.
Leo, we really like what you said. You said there's no need, we shouldn't, to avoid that nostalgia of the holidays. It could be ideally every day if you create that particular behavior, that habit of renewing yourself. And even in the book Action and Reaction, the mentor Druso or Assistant Silas had talked about the need to renew ourselves and also to meditate and reflect. And all of these holidays are just a way for us to practice reflection, renewal, starting again. This is all a part of God's great creation, how He created us. It's a reminder. That's why it probably gives us all a heartwarming feeling if we don't have some type of trauma involved with holidays. But it gives us, we feel fuzzy inside, like little bunnies, because we feel loved, and somehow the spiritual energy that comes as well, because can you imagine, everybody's, for the majority, people are thinking about positive things, love, wanting to give. That time of year, the energy in the air is tangible and it's beautiful. But Leo,
it's multiplied by the many minds that are connected.
Both in the physical realm and in the spiritual realm.
Correct.
I believe it's in Al Solar that they have some discussion about Christmas and sort of somehow remembering it as well, because in Al Solar being a colony that's not so far away from the earth, it's closer. So it's interesting as well for our viewers to read about. But Leo, we love this book. We love all Andrea Luis's book, the whole collection of everything, but we love this book because it's called Aligning Messages, but this is a book that you can give to anybody, to a non-spiritist, to a Buddhist, to someone of the Jewish religion, any background, because it's universal, it touches on love. Yes, they have messages about Christmas, but the way in which they bring Christmas is so universal.
It is.
It almost makes you want to be there with the person. It makes you might want someone to become a Christian because it's so loving. It's so sweet, right?
Right, and it also has a CD version, right?
Right.
You can listen to. You can perhaps give as a gift.
It's a great gift.
It really, I think it's a great gift for ourselves. To
Unintentional
really
plug, but yes.
Right, it is definitely a something that we can keep with ourselves, give as a gift, listen throughout the year. Because again, as we said, it's not just the idea of the December 25th, or if you celebrate, the night before Christmas Eve. It's the everyday to invite a brother or sister to your life in an invitational way, and making them part of our lives. That's how we will succeed in our lives. That's how we're going to change not only ourselves, but the environment as well.
Absolutely.
So it's an inside-out type of transformation that as we accept this message. But we would like to go ahead and close it out with with this message and some final comments as well, which is the last message of this book.
And it's actually, the book itself was psychographed by the medium Francisco Cândido Xavier with multiple different spirits, but the particular message we're reading about is by the spirit Maria Dolores, who was from Bahia, Brazil, and she was born in 1901. She was an artist, she was a poetess, she was famous at her time. She's most famous for donating the first proceeds of her book that she wrote while incarnate to charity. So we can read a little bit about her biography in this particular book, but she gave a message through Chico Xavier, who psychographed it. It's beautiful. Get your tissues ready if you are a sensitive soul. If not, listen with open ears and an open heart and allow us to read it. And you even can follow along if you have your own book. It's the last message. It's page 63. It's entitled Christmas Wishes by Maria Dolores. Lord, our Master, when I was a child, whenever Christmas arrived, I would adorn your name in flowers made of paper and plead to you in prayer, full of hope that you would send through Santa a new walking or talking doll. Later, as a daydreaming adolescent, I would ask you for a castle of love and illusion for my ideal whenever I saw announcements about Christmas. Even later, as an old woman, whenever I would see Christmas shining at my door and my poor anxiety was almost killing me, I would multiply prayers and plead that you would give me, in my old affliction, the illusion of being loved, even though at the end of the road I was sad and alone. Today, Lord, as a free soul in the hereafter where solace refreshes me, once again before Christmas lights, I thank you in peace, happy and comforted, the surprises of death and the tears of life. And if I may beg of your generosity, never give me what I most want, but give me what is best for me and the gift of understanding between true humility and a peaceful happiness, so that I may look for you day and night, Master of the heart. It's beautiful because we sort of all go through this process in life, perhaps. Perhaps we go through this illusion of life, of wanting things, and perhaps we even might have a sick attachment to material things. But at the end of her life, and actually afterwards, after she had passed on, is when she came to this realization, at least in this poetic form. She speaks probably of a universality, of a experience that we all have, that sometimes we go through life living this illusion of life until we discarnate, we pass on, and then over a period of time we wake up and realize.
And the resignation towards the end said, give me what I truly need, not what I want. And we want so many things in life, especially now living this materialistic world that we live in, to choose the right things, to choose the right moments for our life as well. So I think it's very prudent to bring this message to one another, to our viewers, to kind of remind ourselves again, what are the holidays about, right? So, what can we make out of it?
So I think that would be the question we pose for ourselves, we pose for our viewers. Are you saying this to yourself, or say this to yourself? Do this prayer and say to our great Creator, whatever name you may give Him, and say, God, give me what I most need and not what I want. And, or, do I know what I really need? Or am I just trying to, like a rat race, obtain the things that I want? Because there is a difference. Right. And sometimes it just takes inner reflection, some prayer, some assistance from friends who care for us truly in the spiritual journey for our own well-being, to really say, hold up, take a second look. That's why meditation daily and reflection is so important, because any of us, even the best of us, can get caught up in our day-to-day lives.
Right.
So we wish you all very Merry Christmas, Hanukkah, all holidays. We send you many blessings. May God bless you during this holiday season and every day of the year.
Make the best out of it, and thank you.